your power, your anointing resting upon us on this day. Thank you, Lord, for moving on our behalf, making crooked places straight. We thank you that we can rest on you, knowing that you have everything under control. We thank you for fighting on our behalf, helping us, strengthening us to keep the enemy under our feet. When he comes to torment us in our mind, help us, strengthen us to be able to resist the voices that are speaking in our ears. We thank you for victory now. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you. A declaration we've been saying often, we're going to say it again today. You repeat after me. God is exalted.
God is exalted.
The devil, our enemy, our situation, our problem, our debts, our sicknesses, and our issues are defeated. And we have the victory. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, or next year, but right now. In Jesus' name, amen. Turn with me today to the book of Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 2 and 3. Isaiah chapter 54, verse 2 and 3. Isaiah chapter 54, verse 2 and 3. And it reads as follows. Enlarge the place of thy tent, and let them stretch forth the curtains of thine habitation. Spare not, lengthen thy cords, and strengthen thy stakes. For thou shalt break forth on the right hand and on the left, and thy seed shall inherit the Gentiles, and make the desolate cities to be inhabited. Our subject today is stretch. Right. Sometime in life we gotta stretch.
Oh yeah.
In the Bible, the word stretch is mentioned 50 times. Stretched is mentioned 71 times. Stretch it is mentioned once. Stretches is mentioned once. Stretcheth is mentioned 7 times. And stretching is mentioned 2 times, which means there's something significant or a need for us to stretch. All right. As a people, God is expecting us to stretch.
All right now.
When we look at Isaiah chapter 54, the prophet Isaiah is delivering a message of hope to the children of Israel, who happened to be in exile in Babylon. He was letting them know that there will be growth. The state of captivity that they are presently experiencing will not be a permanent state. Expansion is on its way. The prophet Isaiah knew that they were in a feeble, oppressed, captive, despised, and forsaken state of being. But he wanted them to look forward to a future hope or blessing. Sometimes the state we are in can bring us to a state of no hope. Even though we are believers, we don't know what to do. All we know is what is knocking at our door is oppression, depression, and suicide. And what we are forced to deal with is so heavy that we're losing our minds.
Yes.
We can't seem to think clearly. And I believe that the enemy does not mind tormenting us day and night and night and day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He wants us to lose our mind, give up, have no hope. He wants to leave us in a state of I don't know. The prophet Isaiah wanted them to know that the Messiah, the Lord, will be coming to deliver them out of the hands of the adversary. It is noted that the preceding chapters, this chapter, and the following chapters are laying the foundation of the coming Lord, as well as the salvation message. When we look at Isaiah chapter 54, 2 and 3, the prophet Isaiah is providing the children of Israel with instructions to be followed. He starts off by telling them to expand their territory. What they had was not sufficient enough to hold that which was about to be brought forth. More room is necessary. Today, God is telling us that we need to expand for what is about to come to fruition in our lives. We cannot stay the same. He tells them to go beyond their borders. Don't let limits be a hindrance. Sometimes we allow limits to stop us from going further than where we can go. He tells them to think big.
Amen.
Think outside the box.
Amen.
We have to think big.
Yes, sir.
Some of us are thinking just what's in the box. When you're a believer, God says think outside the box.
Yeah. All right.
The box is limited. But can you think outside this limited area? The prophet Isaiah tells them to gather as much as they need to expand. Example how there is if we're going to build a table. He says, gather everything you need to build the table. Don't get half the supplies and think you're going to be able to build the table. Get all that you need. He then says, once they have expanded their territories, make sure the foundation is solid or strong enough to handle their expansion. As believers, if we want our foundation to be strong, we must make sure that our foundation is built on the Word of God. Amen. The more we get in the Word, the stronger our foundation can be. And when we study the Word, we must know not to add nor take away. Amen. Sometimes we're building a foundation after we take out stuff. And we're also building a foundation after we add stuff. If it's not in the Word, don't add, don't take away. He lets them know that they're going to expand in all directions. So you're not just going to expand this way, you're going to expand this way, and this way. All right. Matter of fact, you're going to expand up and down. All right. The prophet Isaiah was letting them know that when they think they have expanded themselves to their limits, they will find out that they still have more room to expand. The example I use there is a balloon. You can fill the balloon up with air. And when you fill it up at a certain amount, you will think, okay, you see the surface, you see that you have, it began to fill out. But even though you filled it up with air, you still have more air you can breathe in it. And as you breathe more into it, it will expand some more. You thought after it got formed the surface, there was enough. But he said, no, it's more to expand. He ends by letting them know that as they expand, they will be taking over that which has not been inhabited in quite some time. One of my grandparents, both of my grandparents on both sides of my family had big houses, but one group of grandparents, they had, I guess, 2 living rooms. All that they was using one living room as their main living room. They had another room that was the living room, but wasn't being used. God says, even though when it comes to expansion, there's stuff that you're not even using that you have available to you. All you got to do is expand. So you sometimes have the resources, you have it there, but you're not expanding to it. Another example that can be, I could use this as sometimes we watch TV shows and we go into a house and it seems that everything is there, and then all of a sudden someone hits a button and they take you to another room. And he said, where did that come from? It's about expansion. It was already there, but it was hidden. Now, what is God saying to us today? As it pertains to our lives, God is calling on us to stretch. Stretching is a form of physical exercise in which a specific muscle or tendon is deliberately flexed in order to improve the muscle's elasticity and achieve comfort muscle tone. The result is a feeling of increased muscle control, flexibility, and range of motion. Stretching often occurs instinctively after waking from sleep, after a long period of inactivity or exiting confined spaces or areas. If you ever wake up, sometimes we do it about like this automatic, we stretch. We get out the car, we stretch. It's about loosening up the muscles. It increases the flexibility. Increasing flexibility through stretching is one of the basic tenets of physical fitness. It is common for athletes to stretch before performing a physical task in an attempt to reduce risk of injury or increasing performance. Stretching can be dangerous when performed incorrectly. There are many techniques for stretching in general, but depending on which muscle group is being stretched, some techniques may be ineffective or detrimental, even to the point of causing hypermobility, instability, or permanent damage to the tendons, ligaments, or muscle fiber. There are 3 kinds of stretching. Static stretching is more stationary stretch, where one holds a stretch for a certain period of duration of time. Oftentimes when we stretch, they may say count 1, 2, all the way up to 10 or 30, and then move back into position. This will give the muscles a more intense or deeper stretch because it is able to isolate the muscle group being stretched. We also call it the dynamic stretch. It is a movement based on stretching, based on the stretch aimed on increasing blood flow through the body while loosening up the muscle fibers. Sometimes that stretch can be simply doing jumper jacks. When you're stretching your muscles. Then we have the proprioceptive nuclear muscle facilitation, where the muscle is fast and passively stretched, then the muscle is contracted, then stretched further. Oftentimes, what's the best way? Sometimes if you go into therapy, they have this machine where you just stretch, it's like a rubber band, and it helps you stretch, and then that stuff, that can be associated with that type of muscle stretching. As we stretch in the physical, we have to stretch the same way in the spirit. When I ran track, we were told to stretch before we start running. We were also told to stretch after we ran. The purpose of stretching was to loosen the muscles in order to avoid injury. As believers, God is calling us to stretch. Stretching is needed to fulfill the task on hand. Without stretching, we are powerless. From a spiritual perspective, the reading of the Word of God and praying are representative of stretching. Last November, my wife and I joined Planet Fitness. Since December of last year, I have been going to the gym weekly. I started out going almost every day, but then I got into the routine of going 3 times a week. At Planet Fitness, they have a room called stretching. The gym understood that for the best results, they could not have their members relying on the weight machines only. They had to have a room specifically designed for or catering to stretching. When I first began to go to the gym, I started using only a few of the machines. They consisted of the treadmill, the elliptic machine, the stationary bike, and the arc trainer. As time went by, I was told that I should expand or change the machines that I was using in order to achieve the best results for my body type. Based on the instructions or directions given, I decided to move beyond my comfort zone. The machines that I was using were usually the same machines I used all my life. And I traveled from here to there, the hotels and resorts I stayed in had those same machines. So when I went to Planet Fitness, I used the same machines. And up to that point, I didn't see anything wrong with using the machines that I was using. But what I was doing was not stretching me. At the gym, we see many different body types working out on various machines.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It dawned on me that even though many of us are working out regularly, if we are not doing what is beneficial to us, there will be no progress. Without change, in December 2020, I would still look like I looked in December 2019, even though I was working out on a weekly basis. I soon added 2 abdominal machines to my regimen. But I didn't stop there. I added a seated leg press and a pull down. Now it could have been easy for me to stop at that point, but at Planet Fitness there are still more machines that I could try. So I added a few more machines. At Planet Fitness, the machines tell us or show us in a diagram the benefits of the various machines. I would not be surprised if many of us are trying machines that we don't understand or know the full benefit as it pertains to what we're using. I certainly was one who was majoring in machines that I did not need to major in. while leaving the ones that I should major in alone. It is easy to become complacent and satisfied with where we are.
Amen.
Believing that where we are is all we need to be. But in Isaiah 54, 2-3, God is telling us to move beyond where we are now. We cannot limit ourselves. We must think and believe beyond what we see. Boundaries do not exist, and we cannot allow them to be a hindrance to us. Stretching moves us beyond our comfort zone. There is more to life than what we have been settling for. We have to stop limiting ourselves. We want results, but we have to be willing to do what is necessary. We have to be willing to do the work. Even though there is a room called stretching at Planet Fitness, does not mean that those who attend the gym are using that room. It is easy for us not to see the purpose of stretching. But as believers, stretching broadens our spiritual capacity. When we stretch our faith, our giving, our prayer life, our reading of the word, our fellowship, or anything else that pertains to God, it helps us usher in a greater anointing of God in our lives. Stretching calls for us to walk by faith as God makes us, shapes us, breaks us, molds us into his image. Each machine at Planet Fitness is designed to perform a specific task as it pertains to the body. When I understood the results I wanted, I began to stretch more. So now when I go to the gym, I have added the lat pull-up, lat pull-up, pull down, seated row, chest press, leg extensions, tricep extensions, and the bicep curl. And even after adding those machines, there's still more stretching I can do because I have not utilized all the machines at the gym. If I continue to stretch, I will still see the results of my stretching. And sometimes when we stretch, we don't see the results of what we've been doing. But sometimes those around you start seeing there's a difference. Like going on a diet, if you was losing weight. At first, you may not see you losing weight. But then you come into the presence of someone and they said, did you lose something weight? Something different. Why? You started trimming down. You started losing weight. You start exercising. You start running. You start building up. That's what stretching does. It builds you up. You start building muscles and tendon, all stuff. I now have a six-pack. I had a six-pack before. I got that. When we stretch, we are allowing ourselves to become more like God. The enemy does not want us to be like God. That's why he tells us, be lazy. Be complacent. He tells us all you're doing is good enough. Be satisfied with just reading the word. Read one scripture of the word and that's it. Or one verse. Get the scripture. Read one verse, that's it. On my cell phone, the Bible verse comes up. Every day, Bible verse. As a believer, the enemy can say, just read that Bible verse and that's it. You said you read the Bible. You said you read the Word. I could easily get satisfied with that. But is that stretching me as a believer? God says there's more to Him.
Yes.
And in order for us to get more of Him, we got to be willing to stretch to where He is.
Yes, right.
And when it comes to God, we can stretch and we'll never reach where He is. So there's a whole lot of us that can do a whole lot of stretching.
Amen. A whole lot.
And never be exhausted because there's still more stretching we can do.
Amen.
Many of us avoid stretching. When we come against something that's bigger than we are, we tend to back off. Yeah. The unknown has a way of making us become complacent. We convince ourselves that we like where we are. But as believers, as game changers, we are never to stop stretching.
Amen.
We would never reach our full potential without stretching. We discover what's in us through our stretching. If we are not stretching, how can we be effective in the things that pertain to God? And we all can relate to this. When you were in school, the teacher stretched us. Because the teacher knew, I can't leave you at just saying A, B, C, D. I gotta work on you, I gotta stretch you to the point where you take those words A, B, C, D and come up with a word. And after you come up with a one word and two words and three words, I then bring you to a sentence. And then from a sentence to a paragraph. And then to a paragraph to a term paper. I have to keep expanding you. And as I expand you, I'm stretching you.
Yes.
Today, as believers, God says, stretch. Are we stretchable? Some of us don't stretch until we are forced to do so. Some of us don't stretch let's see how we read it. Unless we are motivated. I like that. We don't stretch unless there's something wrong. Because if there's nothing wrong, we don't feel the need to stretch. It's amazing how we as believers, when we get in trouble, we don't stretch a whole lot. Before that, 1 minute prayer, that minute prayer is extended when trouble happens. We stretch ourselves in prayer. Don't wait till trouble comes your way to stretch. Stretch when there is no trouble. So that when trouble comes, you're supposed to stretch. The trouble won't even have an effect on you.
Amen.
That's what stretching does for us. When we stretch ourselves in God, when trouble comes, we won't even know it's there. Why? Because we're so far in God that is nothing to us.
Yes.
God wants to stretch us in His image. God wants to stretch our vision, how we view life. He wants us to see beyond. He wants us to see beyond us. I'll say that better. He wants us to see what is beyond us. Sometimes glasses Even though I don't read them, I just put them on. It allows you to see what's beyond you. Yeah. I had 2020. Can't help it. Doctor said I got 2020. I gotta believe what the doctor said. God wants us to stretch our hearts, how we process life. He wants to ensure that as we go through the various trials of life, we will turn to Him and not give in to the pressure or pain of what we're going through.
Amen.
God wants to stretch our abilities, how we function. He wants to take our talents, gifts, abilities for ministry and for work to another level.
Yes.
God wants to stretch our influence,
Yes.
how we minister to others. We are to be a living example.
Amen.
Stretching helps us take on the mind of Christ.
Yes, it does.
When men see us, they should not be able to see us, but the God in us,
Amen.
which becomes our greatest witness.
Amen.
A few years ago, I had a pinched nerve. I had to go to therapy. While at therapy, they tended to stretch me. Began to do various stretches. After a few months of doing stretches, I found out something, that pinched nerve was put back in place. And the pain that I was experiencing, I was no longer experiencing. Amen. When we stretch, it allows God to put us back in alignment with Him, as it was in Genesis chapter 1, before the fall of man. God wants us to be one with Him. And so in order for us to be one with Him, He says stretch. Don't keep on moving. When you think you've prayed enough, He says pray more. When you think you've read the Word enough, He says read more. When you think you've fasted enough, He says fast more. He says whatever you think you've done as it pertains to me, He says keep on expanding.
All right.
A few weeks ago I preached the message, let's pray. In that message, God's message was, can we not spend just 1 hour with Him? God is saying, let's expand to an hour. Then let's expand to an hour and a half. And let's expand to 2 hours. Let's expand till we don't know, till all we are in is a state of prayer.
Amen.
Then we said, He talked about being the game changer.
Yes.
It lets us know that as the game changer, it's our responsibility to change the game. Not being satisfied with the status quo, but going beyond what it is. And today God is telling us to stretch. If you notice, they all are intermingled one to another. Because as you pray more, you're stretching. When you're a game changer, you're stretching. And when you're stretching, you are praying more. And when you're stretching, you're a game changer. And today, God says, stretch.
Yes.
Stretch more.
Amen.
Get in me more. Get all in me and stretch.
Amen.
Event stretches. Do all type of stuff. Do what you didn't normally do.
Amen.
And as you stretch, you'll find out you didn't used to be able to do that, but here you are. You're stretching. I started out lifting 2 pounds. Now I'm 5 pounds. Hey. As you stretch, what was hard to do soon becomes easy. And when that what you were stretching becomes easy, God says you can do more.
All right.
You don't have to be satisfied just saying, I can't go no further than this. God says you can go further. Just stretch. expand your territory, expand your thinking, expand what you see. I see an obstacle, but if I stretch more, I will find out there is no obstacle. But I got to be willing to stretch beyond what I see.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When the doctor says no hope, you got to stretch till you see hope.
All right. Yes.
When you're going through financial problems and issues, you have to stretch yourself till you see more than enough.
More than enough.
You're having troubles on a job, you got to see yourself with no trouble on the job.
All right.
Stretching allows you to go from doubt to faith,
Amen.
to no hope to hope.
Amen.
Stretch. There is no limit with God. Stretch. As the word says, the table is square, which means there's more than enough. Every time you go to the table, there's another exercise you can do. Whatever you need from God, God says stretch. Move your muscles. Do what you need to do, but stretch. And God says, yes, it may hurt in the beginning. But the purpose of you stretching is to loosen up the muscles. There's a muscle that haven't been moved, and so as you stretch, you're moving those muscles. You're loosening them up so that they can get used to doing that stretch. When I ran track, our coach would have us lay on our backs and lift our legs up in the air. That was very difficult to do. Because you can't just drop it down, because if you drop it, everybody's going to be in trouble. Because when you're in this together, all with one accord, everybody pays for everybody. So you have to hold it up in the air. But as you began to do that same stretch, the foot in the air, it became easier and easier and easier. Despite the difficulty, God said stretch. Reading the word may be difficult, but when you stretch from one scripture or one scripture verse to two scripture verses, before long you'll find yourself reading a whole chapter. Then you'll go from one chapter to two chapters, from two chapters to three chapters. As you stretch in prayer, you'll find yourself going from 1 minute to 5 minutes, from 5 minutes to 10 minutes. It's about stretching. As we get in God, stretching, we might just want to get more in Him. What more is there to Him? It's like reading a novel or some type of thing that you like reading. You start reading, start getting good to you. Stretching will start getting good to you. Because as you stretch, God will take you into new avenues. My message to you today is simply stretch. As much as you think you stretch more. Keep stretching. Don't give up. Stretch. In every area in your life, stretch. Your stretching will make a difference. If it does, you're not going to always see the results on Monday. You may not even see the results on Tuesday. Don't get impatient when Wednesday comes around and you don't see the results. But by the time Sunday comes, you might see a change because of your stretching. Make stretching a habit for me. Let it be your addiction. Let it be something that you got to do. The more you stretch, the more God is going to stretch. And God's stretching is a whole lot better than our stretching. Stretch out in God. No matter what. Stretch. God bless you.